assisting me will be Elaine Diana Angle, Melvin Jones Fellow, who is my associate within the GLT Commission. We hope that this session will be as informative as the one before, and we look forward to your participation. This morning we had a very good participation, so I believe that you will outshine the group from this morning. Don't tell anyone from this morning that I said so. So we're getting ready to join, and we will start the agenda with prayers. And I'm going to ask Vanessa Hilton from the Savannah Lamar Club to lead us off in prayer.
Good afternoon, Lions at the virtual head table, distinguished guests, fellow Lions Leos. Let us stand for the Lions Prayer. Where lions meet, be present, Lord, to weld our hearts in one accord. To do thy will, Lord, make us strong, to aid the weak and right the wrong. Amen.
Thank you, Vanessa. And we will now move into our first presenter, who is Isaac McKellar, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow, past Council Chairperson. And Isaac has been a Lion for over 30 years. He has served at the club level as chairman of numerous committees, as a tail twister, a membership director, secretary, vice president, and president. At the district level, he has served on various committees and has also served as zone chairman, region chairman, vice district governor, and council chairman. Then Isaac has received many awards, the major ones being Secretary of the District, Zone Chairman of the District, Lion of the Year twice, Melvin Jones Fellow, and of course, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. Professionally, Len Isaac is an engineer and is CEO of the Environmental Resources Limited. Let's welcome Len Isaac to do his presentation.
Thank you, Lion Sherwin. I'm happy to be here again. This is, as I mentioned earlier today, this is quite an innovation for us for training, where we are actually doing this not only for all of our sub-district 60B, but including those lands from 60A who were very, very noticeable in our group this morning, and for which we were very happy to have them. Let me bring up my PowerPoint. Can I go ahead and share line sharing?
Yes, you can.
Are you seeing me yet? Are you seeing anything yet?
Not as yet.
You gave me this trouble this morning. I thought I'd dealt with it.
All right.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm getting there.
Good.
I'm not seeing, let me see, hang on.
Zero coming on.
Yes, I'm up. Okay, dokes. All right. Good afternoon, Lions. Lion Sherwin, Lion co-presenter, Lion Vern. We have to talk about that, Lion Vern. Lion Owen. Other distinguished Lions who are with us this afternoon. Lion Judy, who we miss so badly. You can blame the Jamaica Public Service Company for that. But I have a feeling that she's listening in somehow. And I gather that we are taking the opportunity to record this session this evening, this afternoon, Lion Sherwin. We are?
Yes, we are. Yes.
Okay, all right. All right. So good afternoon, my Lions family. I must express to you how happy I am and delighted to be able to join you this afternoon and to present to you these little snippets and experience that we have had along with what's written in our Constitution on the matter of protocol. Now, protocol has been one of these little nagging issues that we have had in Lionism for a long time. We see it on display very nicely put together at district meetings and conventions and multiple district meetings and conventions. But we seem to struggle a lot with it on the ground level with our own clubs, mainly because of two reasons. One is that a lot of our older Lions are not too, well, they tend to forget some of the things that are required of them and the rationale behind protocol in the first place. The other reason, of course, is that, which is a good one, is that we have a lot of new Lions, thankfully, and these new Lions are not completely indoctrinated as yet in the finer points, of course, of which protocol is a very important part of our existence as Lions in this world. So let me get off right now with saying to you that the two sessions that you're going to be seeing this afternoon includes mine, which deals with the grassroots level or at our club level. And that protocol that applies to us in our meetings and in our daily activities with other members of our Lions clubs and the officers in our clubs and some at zone and district level, zone and region level. Later on, Lion Owen is going to handle protocol, the same subject as it relates to district and multi-district and international level to some extent. All right. Now, we get a lot of questions as to what really is protocol? What is this thing and why is it important? There are many descriptions and opinions in attempts to define protocol, from royalty to concerts to meetings. A popular and accepted description is a system of accepted rules governing formal occasions to avoid embarrassment or unpleasant situations. But does that really explain what it is? Or is it the manner and forms prescribed by customs, I should say by custom, usage or authority, and accepted as the correct or proper behavior when people deal with each other? Perhaps it can be more accurately described as respect for one's position or title, linked with the rules of procedure to be observed in ceremonies and meetings and as outlined by an organization or government. In fact, many protocol actions are really good manners and polite behavior, of which, as Lions committed to our code of ethics, we are already familiar with. Now, we all know, particularly those of us who have been around for a while, what the word manners really does in our lives. Growing up as children, we are taught that we need to have manners. We need to display good manners. And what it really does is identify for us a code of behavior that is expected of us, providing we have manners. And our parents or our villages made sure that we exhibited manners whenever it was necessary. So this is not new to us in our daily lives. Note the use of the word respect in the comments made so far in this presentation, which begs consideration of the importance of the word. In discussions and debates generally, and particularly when interpersonal relationships are concerned, the agreement of the most impacting word in our lives is love. However, when considered in regard to importance, especially in relation to our self-esteem, respect is deemed to be as, if not more important. This comment encourages me to reflect on an experience I had many years ago when I attended a multiple district convention in Trinidad. And at a layer forum, the presenter who was invited, he was not a lion, was invited to present on a subject, encouraged the youngsters in a debate, a discussion which ended up as a debate. In that group, the female layers were about 60 or 70% of the total audience. And so the debate became quite active. And after much deliberation and considering all of the implications of the two words which are highly emotional and sensitive words, love and respect, it was agreed by the group that respect in the long term was more important. Now, why are we talking about this? So, to show respect and good manners for our organization, the required protocol begins at our club level. Because what we're actually doing when we apply protocol to our meetings, to each other, we are actually showing respect for Lions clubs, this large, dominant, fantastic organization of 1.4 million persons all over the world, 48,000 clubs, and all those Lions friends and families that we have learned to accept over the years. And we have put ourselves in the family of Lions, because that's what we are, one huge, huge family. We need to show respect for each other, show respect for the organization that we have committed ourselves to, and show respect for those procedures and requirements for our meetings and for the officers whom we have elected to serve in these positions. So here are some of the things that we need to be looking at our club level. One, your president or whoever is conducting your meeting is the most important line there and is to be addressed at all times before you speak or act in that meeting. If you are asked or given permission to address your meeting, your address must be from the most senior person to the least. That is to say, you are going to address the person who is in charge of that meeting, because that meeting is that person's meeting. So you start out by saying, I'm president, and so on, down. Three, if you are requested to introduce your members and or your head table, the order of introduction is from the lowest rank to the highest. Your board of directors is a good guide to establish rank. 4, make a list beforehand, as it is very easy to forget names, even if it is someone that you have known for a long time. And I remind our more seasoned Lions, without exception, we have all had that challenge. Someone whom you are very familiar with, right there in front of you, you're just talking to them, you're asked to introduce the person, and you can't remember the person's name. It's just as if you have had a blank. So what you need to do to avoid that, which is highly recommended, is that you make a list of the persons you're going to be required to introduce. When you make this list, if it has to do with your head table, you can put numbers beside them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you know which one comes first, which one comes second, and so on. The same thing if you are sitting at a table and you're having your social meeting, or you're having a function and you're asked to introduce that table. In anticipation, you need to make a list of the persons at that table so that when you are asked to do so, you can follow the list and you have the names of those persons right there in front of you. I strongly suggest don't leave it up to your memory, because no matter how sharp you are, there's going to come a time when you're going to forget. I need to also tell you a story about that in particular, which I shared earlier on. When I was district governor and I was auditing in Grenada, I attended a particular club, and much to my surprise, I was asked to sing my own nation's national anthem. I was not prepared for that. I had been going over everything that I have to do at the audit, but I never thought that I would have been asked to sing my national anthem, which I know in my sleep. Would you believe that I was only able to get through the first half of the anthem? I could not remember the rest. So very ashamedly, I apologized and we moved on. But this is an example of when you're not really ready or prepared, or when somebody catches you off guard and asks you to do something that you're very, very familiar with, particularly in the matter of introductions, and you know you're going to be talking to everybody at the meeting is listening to you. We tend to get rattled and it just departs from our memory. So don't give it an opportunity to do so. Make your notes. It's also a good idea generally to make notes about the things that you have to do. So you can use those notes to guide you and you can reflect on them as you go on, because we are going to forget, and we do. If you are late for your meeting, apologize to the person who is in charge of the meeting. Doesn't do any harm to do that. It is good manners to do it, and you do it anyway. At home, if you should have done something and you didn't do it, you say, oh, I'm sorry, I really should have done that, or that's an apology. But the proper approach and protocol at your meeting is for you to make that apology openly to the person in charge of your meeting. If you have to leave your meeting early, or if you have to go to the washroom, ask permission of the person who is in charge to leave the meeting. Don't worry, they will approve. All you're doing is you're exercising and exhibiting good manners, which is the protocol. Remember that. Well, let me get on and then I will remind you of this. Be mindful of visiting lions and guests to be attentive and welcome them, making them feel as involved and comfortable as possible. Now, I just wanted to mention in the previous slide that the matter of getting attention or getting permission from the person in charge of the meeting is quite easy to do, because if you are going to be standing when you address your head table or the person in charge, whether it is your president or one of your vice presidents, once you're going to address a head table and you stand, you will have the attention of the entire meeting. So to get that permission to leave or to go to the washroom or because you have to leave early, as the case may be, all you need to do is stand. You will be acknowledged and you make an apology and ask permission to leave. Okay. Be mindful of visiting lions and guests to be attentive and welcome and make them feel as involved and comfortable as possible. Very often in many clubs we go and we find, I've had this complaint a lot, that there are cliques in clubs. And whilst this is not generally true, there are times when it is true. And what does a clique do? They form themselves into a little body and they occupy one little section of the room. And what happens if you have a guest, either a visiting person who is not yet a lion, or a visiting lion with whom they are not familiar or who is not a part of their clique? That person is left by themselves generally. This is not only bad manners, but it is cruel and makes that visitor very uncomfortable. The correct approach is to be mindful of your visitors, because you have a responsibility to make them as welcome and as comfortable as possible while you are there, while they are with you. It is your responsibility, and it is good manners to do so. Remember that your tamer is the primary member responsible for welcoming and making guests and visiting lions welcome, followed by all your past presidents. They all form what is called your greeter committee. Proper seating, head table, etc., if available, is required for visiting lions officers, from visiting presidents up, and especially cabinet officers. So remember that when you are expecting a district officer or a cabinet officer who is coming to audit, whether it's your zone chairman or your region chairman, you need to prepare yourself for that person, clearly identify where that person is going to be sitting, and make sure that when that person arrives, that they are greeted by your members of your greeter committee, which includes your president, your past presidents, and your tamer, or any combination thereof. When your meeting is called to order by your president or the person in charge, and the meeting is adjourned and a motion requested by the president or the person in charge, which is moved, is seconded by members on the floor. Let me emphasize this point. When you're having your business meeting, at the end of your business meeting, your president or the person in charge will ask for a motion to be moved by a person and seconded by persons from the floor in the meeting. The reason for that is that you are asking for an adjournment. What is an adjournment? It's a postponement. What you're doing is that you're not shutting down your Lions Club. You are adjourning your meeting until you resume on the next meeting date. So if you meet every month on the second Wednesday, when you adjourn your meeting, when you get the motion moved and seconded by somebody from your floor and the meeting is adjourned, which gives the president or the presiding Lion the authority to adjourn the meeting, you're actually putting off that meeting until the next meeting date. And that's why it is important that you, the person who is in charge, request from the floor a motion to be moved for the adjournment of the meeting and seconded. And you will notice that it is also minuted so that when next meeting date comes, you resume your meeting, your president or whoever is in charge will call that meeting to order and you resume. You are required to stand when addressing the president or the person in charge, which comes back to the point I was making earlier. If you want to say something or you would like to address the chair, the best way to do it is to stand. Once you stand, you have the attention of the meeting. So you don't have to be sitting there trying to get the president's attention or the person in charge. Just stand. It is also a mark of respect that you are exhibiting to the office of the person in charge, not necessarily to the person alone, but to the office. Do not speak over other persons. Await your turn as directed by the president or person in charge. Now, today, earlier on today, I made mention of a program that I became very familiar with and got quite upset about it after a while. That was on TV. I think that I saw it on American television, and then I saw it sometimes on BBC. And the name of the program was Crosstalk. And what they were doing is that they were encouraging individuals to crosstalk each other. So whilst one person is trying to make a point, the other person would interrupt and make their point and so on. And it made for a lively but very confusing session. And you all will agree that whenever that happens in your club, the result of that is grand confusion because you generally never get to hear another person's point of view properly. And at the end of all of that, decisions are not taken because we don't give ourselves an opportunity to hear any innovations that may be available to us from another point of view. And actually, what we are doing is working against diversity, which is one of our strongest points. So, do not speak over other persons, end up shouting back and forth, wait your turn as directed by the president. And the best way to get the president's attention is to stand up. All right, now you're having your audit, and someone is coming to audit your zone chair or your region chair or your district governor. If that person is driving or is being driven, you need to ensure that there's parking available for the person's car. You don't want that person to come to your meeting and be driving up and down looking for somewhere to park while you're sitting waiting for the arrival of the individual. The officer is to be met by your greeter committee. Who are those? as your tamer, your president, your past presidents, or any combination thereof. Those persons will meet and greet your visiting officer. And think of how, aside from the fact that it is a protocol, think of how the impression that it creates in the mind of the person who is visiting you. Nobody wants to go somewhere where they're not welcome. And by extension, the person who comes to visit you, when they see that your club has made an effort to meet them and greet them, it makes their day and puts them on a high, and it makes them comfortable, which is what your aim is supposed to be. Make that person feel welcome and comfortable in your presence and in the presence of your club. The officer who is coming is to be escorted to a reserved seat, preferably at your head table, and seated. This assumes that your tamer has made all the necessary arrangements and have had that seat ready for that officer. And that person is brought in and seated. All right. In the event that the visiting lion is the international president, an international director, or past officer of those positions, your district governor or your council chair, all attendees must stand at their entrance and the exit as a sign of respect for those offices. So don't wait for the president to say to you, the district governor is now leaving, please stand. Or the council chairman is here with us, please stand. If you all expect that officer to attend your meeting and you're looking out, the moment the officer enters your meeting space, it is protocol and it is manners and good practice to stand in respect for the office of that officer or those officers. The visiting officer must be made comfortable and offered any conveniences or treats that's affordable and made. In other words, when that person is seated, the next responsibility, usually of the president, but not only restricted to the president, is to find out if there's anything that that officer would like to do before the commencement of their audit or their address to your club. It could be anything. It could be a glass of water. It could also be a visit to the washroom to tidy up or to freshen up, as the case may be. It could be a napkin. And whatever you offer to that officer, of course, is within your affordable limits, the affordable limit of your club. Some clubs like to put on a big spread, and that's all right if you can afford it and if the visiting officer doesn't mind. But whatever you can afford, the important thing is to do the correct practice and make that person comfortable by following the proper protocol and proper manners. The meeting is handed over to a master of ceremonies, or in the case of an audit, the district governor, the region chairperson or the zone chairperson after it is called to order by the president or the lion in charge. All right, now here, this is usually an area that needs to be looked at and is frequently asked for confirmation before a meeting starts, so that the person in charge of the meeting clearly understands what is expected of them. So what are we saying here? The meeting is called to order by the president or the person in charge of the meeting. That would mean saying the Lion's Prayer and observing a moment's silence for world peace and any other little thing at the top, perhaps a welcome. And then the meeting is then handed over to the district governor or the zone chairperson. Now, if you're having a function, not an audit, but a function, you may wish to use a master of ceremonies, in which case the same thing applies. Once you have handed over to any officer, any Lions officer, or to the master of ceremonies, whomever that may be, then that person runs the meeting thereafter. It is important that during meetings which require introductions, as well as those that do not, past district governors, past council chairpersons, past international directors, and past international presidents are to be recognized and honored as a mark of respect for our past senior officers. Often we become so accustomed to, and it depends, of course, on the past officer, but we get accustomed to the family relationship between ourselves and our past officers, that we have a tendency to take them for granted. We must remember that these individuals have done their part in the development of Lionism in your zone, region, district, and are still a part of your organization, still working with you, and still being of great assistance and carrying through duties, many of which clubs from time to time will ask these past officers to perform. It is right, good manners, and protocol to recognize these past officers whenever the opportunity arises for you to do so. It's also the protocol to do so. All right, now let's say now you're going to be having your meeting at your head table. At your head table now, and again, this is an area that is frequently inquired of, the right thing to do in terms of setting your head table. Remember that the person who organizes the meeting, who is holding the meeting, is the top person there. The president or that person could be that the meeting is being run by one of your vice presidents or another person in your club who has been assigned to run that meeting. So what you'll have is you'll have that person in the center of that table. And the guest speaker or the visiting dignitary, which would be the district governor who's there for an audit, or the region chair or the zone chair, would be to the right of the officiating officer in charge. Then to the officer's left would be the secretary, to the immediate left. Then the first vice president of the club will be to the next right. Let's say now you're being audited by your zone chair. So you'd have your first vice president to the right of your zone chair. And then your second vice president is going to be to the left of your secretary, who is already to the left of you. And then the third vice president would be the next right, to the far right of the zone or region chair. In the event of the district governor's audit, the accompanying region chair and zone chair will sit to the right of the district governors. in that order, which means you'd have the region chair, then the zone chair. The reason for that, of course, is that if the district governor wants to make reference to something that's taking place in the zone or in the region chair, who invariably is going to be the person accompanying the district governor to the audit, is the person that they will require to consult with. And so you need to have that person right beside them on the right. If the information that is required is available from the zone chair, then of course the zone chair being to the right of the region chair makes them accessible. In that case, what you would do is that all others, which would be your secretary, your first vice, second vice, and third vice, would be sitting to the left, to the left of the officer in charge. Another acceptable arrangement at the district governor's audit is for the district governor to sit to the right of the president with the accompanying region and zone chair seated in that order, to the DG's right with the club officers on the left of the president after the secretary in orders 1, 2, first, second, and third, as I just explained. If there is a visiting zone chair, that line can then be seated to the right of the governing zone chair. So the difference here would be that because sometimes other zone chairpersons will visit another zone because the district governor happens to be in their territory or in their country, and they come as a guest, but not a part of the audit, in which case they'll be sitting to the right of the zone chairperson who's in charge of that zone. In the case of a meeting where a master of ceremonies is utilized, he or she should be seated at the end of the table adjacent to the podium. That makes sense because that person is going to have to get up and sit down frequently, and the best place for them is to be near to the podium. Some head tables are organized, particularly if you're having a guest speaker. Well, I shouldn't say a guest speaker because a lot of times we do have a guest presenter, but for other reasons, perhaps for variety purposes, the podium is put in the middle of the head table. That is oftentimes a bit inconvenient because it means that the master of ceremonies needs to move from the end of the table to perform his or her duties by walking to that podium in the middle. So generally what is done is that if the arrangement can be moved around, we will move that podium and put it to one end of the head table, which will make it very convenient. Remember as well that a head table doesn't have to be rectangular. It could be a round head table. There have been many meetings that have had all round tables, and some of those tables reserved for the person who is in charge of the meeting and other dignitaries who are attending that meeting. There is usually always a podium there as well. So the arrangement of right and left of the person in charge still maintains, only that you're dealing with a round table. And of course, the master of ceremonies will be sitting close to that podium, so he or she can carry out his duties. Your meeting preparation. Your tamer is responsible for all the club's possessions and property. And his or her duty is to ensure that the following items are properly placed at all meetings, in addition to their other duties. Now, remember that you wouldn't want your members to be coming in to a meeting area that is not properly fixed to accommodate them in terms of seating and so on. And worse, if you're having a visitor or visitors, or you're having a senior member of the cabinet attending. So, what is required in terms of putting your meeting house in order? Number one is your club charter. The charter of your club is the authority that is given to you by Lions Clubs International, which allows you to represent Lions Clubs International in their activities in your community and throughout the world. Hence, without your charter in place and present, your meeting is not going to be recognized as an official Lions Club meeting. The presence of that charter is critical to the authority that you have been given to hold your Lions meeting. Now, this doesn't apply to things like your directors' meetings and if you have social gatherings and so on. But if you're having your business meeting or you're having a particular function, a Lions function, your club charter is required to be there to make it official. The flags of nation. The flags of nations. It's always a very good sign to see all these flags. It reminds us of our large international family. When we observe the number of nations that are involved in Lionism, the number of nations where lions are committed to serve, it's always impressive to have your flags prominently displayed at your meetings. The gong and the gavel, of course, these are tools that are provided for the president and or persons who are running the meeting to allow them to govern at that meeting by using the gavel to hit the gong to get the attention of the members and to indicate the beginning of the meeting and the postponement of the meeting. Your club banner is your show-off furniture. You put your club banner up there, it's very nicely put together, it's attractive, it's got all your information on it as to your Lions Club, the name of it, and it provides you with space for you to put up in clear view all the achievements of your club, the number of persons in your club who have been zone chairs or region chairs or district governors, or the number of Mervyn Jones fellows that you have in your club, all those accolades and banners and other fabric mementos of your association with other clubs or awards that you get from international or from your district or from your region are placed on your club banner. So it's your how would I say it? The statement piece that is hung there, so that you are saying, this is my club and this is what my club means. The national flag. Your national flag should be at all your meetings because you are required by custom and by protocol to acknowledge your nation at your meeting. And that flag is to be prominently displayed to the right side, the extreme right of your table. If you're using round tables, you needed to have it at the right of the room. Let's say that if you're using round tables and that the round table that houses your president, the dignitaries, is to one end of the room, then it's to the right side of that table. If you're facing the table from the audience, it is to your left. But if you're facing the audience, it should be to the right. And of course, it needs to be in pristine condition because it's part of your presentation and your preparation for your meeting. Officers visiting from overseas. When Lions officers are visiting from overseas at any function, they should be given the courtesy of having their national anthem played before the anthem of your club's nation, your anthem last. Now, this is not really a protocol requirement, but it is very good. It is very good, or should I say, courtesy. As I had mentioned before, I was quite surprised and not expecting when I audited this club and I was asked to sing my own national anthem. I would like to think that they wanted me to sing it because it's a nice anthem. But I also recognize that they were asking me to sing my anthem out of respect, not only for my position that I occupied, but the country from where I was coming. So if at any time your club wishes to do this, remember that it is not really a requirement, a protocol requirement, but if your club wishes to do this to honor your visiting district governor or senior lion, is perfectly acceptable. Remember, however, that your nation's anthem must be the last one played. Finally, on the matter of visiting from overseas, when you have an important visitor and that person makes a presentation, no other speaker should speak after. In other words, a person who makes that presentation, the highest ranked person who makes that presentation should be the last speaker on your agenda. That is also a sign of respect and the protocol. At this time of the COVID pandemic, Lions have had to find alternatives to our usual mode of operation. Consequently, online meetings have become a part of our new existence. In my particular experience, I have found that in my home club, the first effect that we noticed is that our average attendance percentage increased substantially. And this was because it was so much more convenient to join meetings at home in the comfort of your personal surroundings without having to get your stuff together, to get in your car or take the bus or whatever, spend time traveling to your meeting location, dealing with all this stuff that goes along with having a physical meeting, all of which is nice, but all of which takes time. So now that we are virtual, it is much more convenient, and so the numbers have gone up significantly. However, there's a downside to this because it means that so many, many more meetings are now being organized. So many of us who would put together in our available time the meeting times that we knew we wanted to make a commitment to are now finding ourselves attending meetings almost every day because it is so convenient. So we have to recognize that this is a part of our new paradigm and adjust it accordingly so that it doesn't become overbearing and that we take advantage of the the better parts of it and not allow it to become a problem. During these meetings, some of the courtesies that we have discussed before will still exist where applicable. In addition, the list I'm going to show you now is of additional etiquettes popularly referred to as netiquettes. These will also apply. And perhaps we should have started our meeting today with this list, because here we are taking advantage of our new dispensation as Lions Online, doing our online thing, a lot of which we will be doing in the future. Some of the things that are important for you to have a good online meeting are as follows. Ensure that you have a good internet connection and that it is working and you are connected. A lot of persons struggle with this. They wait for the last minute to try and get online, or they're trying to get online using their telephone, either because they're not at home or because they don't have a computer or because for whatever reason. And then they have difficulty, the place where they are located and are getting good reception, and it becomes a problem. And particularly if the meeting is an important one, you need to ensure that you are taking part in it. Dress as if you are at your regular meeting. Wear your Lions vest and somebody needs to dress as if you are at your regular meeting. Wear your Lions vest and pin. Be careful of your video background. I know a lot of us are familiar with TikTok. And recently, a couple of episodes have been aired on TikTok where persons are having online meetings and discussions, not paying attention to their background, and the video has picked up very embarrassing activities taking place behind them, all of which they thought was private because they're at home, without stopping to think that your camera is not only picking you up, it's picking up anything that is behind you as well. Now, earlier on, Lion Sherwin reminded us that there is a facility on Zoom that allows you to have your own background, your own virtual background, which you can explore for yourself. Some of us prefer it, but others, if you don't think it's necessary and if your background is acceptable, fine. But be mindful of your background. It could be embarrassing for you and disturbing as well. Ensure that you have the link in your possession and that it is functioning. So how do you do that? You try to log on early to make sure that you've got your correct connection. Because even with the best of attention, there are times when things go wrong. So investigate to make sure you have the link first, early, I should say. And we spend a lot of time calling around to each other. I can't get on, I can't get on, I don't know what is happening. I'm trying this, I'm trying that. So you need to start doing that early so that you know you're comfortable with the link that you have and that you have the right link. Ensure that your lighting is in front of you, not behind you. A lot of persons surprisingly do not understand that your camera cannot see your face if a light is behind you. That light needs to be in front of you so that it illuminates your face for the camera to be able to see you clearly. Your camera needs this light in front of you. It doesn't have to be a blaring light, and you can judge from your own picture as to whether or not persons are able to see you clearly. Keep your microphone off until you are given permission to speak. Be mindful of background sounds. Already we have had a couple of interruptions here this afternoon, excuse me, where persons are not attentive to the fact that their audio is on. And so it picks up everything, radio, sound, cars passing, motorcycles, persons talking to you in the background, kids. Keep your microphone off until you are given permission to speak, and be mindful of these background sounds because it's very disrupting, and everybody will be able to hear what's happening. Keep your camera on. It's been a long time since we have had face-to-face meetings because of COVID-19, and we all long to see each other. So when you're at meetings, keep your cameras on. There are lots of nice looking and pretty ladies and handsome gentlemen in Lionism, so let's remind ourselves of what we look like. And it's always nice to be able to see each other while we are attending the meeting or talking to each other. Your Lions family and friends want to see you, especially since COVID restrictions. Lions Clubs International, through their constitution and bylaws, do not cover all protocols and conventions. Where the particular issue may not cover the circumstance, reference is to be made to a book called Robert's Rules of Order as an acceptable expansion. Now, Robert's Rules of Order really has to do with all those protocols that have to do with meetings at all levels, the correct way to address your head table and things of that nature. Now, Lions Clubs have put together a list of protocols which applies particularly to Lions Clubs and Lions Clubs activities. However, they do not say that they cover every circumstance. So wherever they do not cover or speak to that particular issue, they are saying to you that Robert's Rules of Order is an acceptable volume or book to use in that particular case. Well, I'd like to thank you all, my Lions family and friends, for taking the time this afternoon to spend with me. Let's move on with our work in our communities, panache and decorum, making a difference in style. Now, I'm making this point because it is when we apply ourselves, showing respect for each other, showing respect and applying protocol to our organization, the officers, and the procedures that have been put in place. That's when we show panache and decorum. And that is when we exhibit style. We all want to be stylish and attractive and envious of by other individuals who, when they see how we operate, how we speak to each other, how we respect each other, how we honor our leaders and our past leaders, that is what makes a big difference. In addition to the social activity that we share with each other and the common aim and goal of serving our communities. Thank you very much for listening. And remember to serve with kindness.
Thank you, past Council Chairman Isaac. Lions and Leos, reminding you, if you have any questions, you can place them in the chat. We will have a question and answer session after the next presenter. It gives me great pleasure this afternoon to present our second presenter. Our second presenter is Lion V. Owen Springer, Melvin Jones Fellow. Lion Owen considers himself to be the jack of all trades, or better still, member of many organizations and master of none, or better still, favored by many. He was born in Zaire, Nigeria, of Barbadian parentage, and was taken to Barbados when he was 9 years old. On leaving school, he joined the Barbados Regiment and later the Barbados Defense Force as a private volunteer soldier and worked his way up the ranks, retiring as commanding officer of the Barbados Regiment and later the commandant of the Barbados Cadet Corps with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. For his service, he was awarded the Efficiency Medal and later the Meritorious Service Medal. He is currently chairman of the Barbados Legion Council. In 1977, he served as equerry to Her Majesty the Queen and was made a member of the Royal Victorian Order. He has been involved in Boy Scouting all his life and recently retired with the rank of Deputy Chief Commissioner of the Barbados Boy Scout Association. For his service as Scouting and Civil Service, he was awarded the Barbados Silver Crown of Merit. He is a former employee of the Cable Wireless and retired as manager, engineering, and operations. With his passion to serve humanity, V. Owen Springer in November 1974 accepted an invitation to be a charter member of the Lions Club of Barbados South. In 1987, he was elected to the Lions Club District Governor 60B, and the following year, Council Chairman. And Owen is a former chairman of the Duke of Edinburgh International Award Council of Barbados and is now a trustee. A former director of the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados, former treasurer of the AIDS Foundation of Barbados, and former chairman of the Harrison College Board of Management. In the year 2016, as Barbados' 50th year of independence, then Owen was one of the 50 persons honored with the Barbados Jubilee Honor for their contribution to the development of the nation. He is married to Monica Ferrier Ni Wong of Trinidad and Tobago. They have 2 daughters, Angela and Katrina, and 2 grandchildren. Lions, let's join me in welcoming Lieutenant Colonel retired V. Owen Springer, SCM, MVO, BJH, MSN, ED. And Owen. That one, I think you chose the wrong one. You can click on the X line at the top right-hand corner.
Having difficulties bringing it up.
Just click on the X in the right-hand corner so that you can clear that screen.
You see, I can't see my screen. I'm getting. I'm getting pictures of the. Record. Yeah. Resume share. New share participants. You don't want the participants. I'm trying to go off and come back on.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna go off and come back on.
Yeah, that's okay. You can just click on the green button at the bottom.
But I'm not. And this is the PowerPoint. Can you see my PowerPoint there?
Not as yet. Yeah, you're getting there, yes.
I can't get this up to so I can
All right, just click on the one that's your presentation.
well, I can't get it. It's not coming up.
All right, scroll the screen down a little bit more on the right-hand side. Let's scroll it down.
I can't get there. Sorry about this.
All right. Okay, getting there, clear.
But that's a blank. Right.
You have to go and choose the round you want now.
It's gone.
Just
All right.
exit. Click the X at the top.
Right. Okay, line.
Good.
Good.
See, you're getting there. You're getting there.
You seen anything?
Yes, and just go to screen share now to start the presentation, and you're good.
Oh.
Can just start the slideshow. You're already in screen share.
All right.
Yes.
Oh,
No, you've gone
closed
back.
it.
All right, go back to Lions Protocol. Right, click on there. Up at the corner left. Go across to the left. Right there. Yes, right there. Okay.
Normally I could see myself, but I don't see myself. You can see everything now.
Yes.
I'm ready to go.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, past Council Chairman Sherwin, for the introduction. Let me start by acknowledging the chairman, past Council Chairman Sherwin Greenwich, who's associate member of the Global Leadership Team, all the distinguished guests in the audience, Lions and Leos. One of my pet subjects is protocol and etiquette, and I'm indeed very happy to join Lion Isaac in sharing with you some tips on protocol. Protocol is a very interesting subject. It has many interpretations, but basically it can be said to be an agreed or accepted procedure to accomplish a goal. Daily we hear of the protocol to contain and conquer COVID-19 virus, which is to wash your hands, wear masks, sanitize, avoid gatherings, stay 3 or 6 feet from your neighbor. The protocols I shall be speaking of this evening is with reference to Lionism, where we show respect for one's position or seniority, and thus avoid confusion and conflict, especially since we are all volunteers. If you're not sure of anything I've said, please ask a question. I may or may not be able to answer you. You may ask, for example, when I escort a visitor to their seat, I walk on that person's left and slightly ahead of them. You may ask, why should the zone chairman sit at the head table at a governor's meeting and past governors on the floor? Lion Isaac has already spoken to you about protocol in general, with respect to Lions Club meetings, and I shall continue to reinforce what you may already know about protocol with respect to greetings and seating of senior Lions, introducing the head table, addressing senior members of the gathering, the arrangement of country flags, the playing of national anthems, and anything else if we have time. What is protocol? The word originated from the Greek word protokolon, meaning protos, which means first, and cola meaning glue, really for the first page of a document. Later, the French developed the first set of etiquette forms to be used by the French head of state and called it protocol. Over the years, the word protocol was developed. Protocol can be defined as accepted rules governing formal occasions to avoid embarrassment or unpleasant situations. It can be also defined as rules for acceptable behavior when people deal with each other. It can be suggested way to act in formal situation. It can be rules and guidelines for communicating data between computers. It is often interlocked with the word etiquette, which refers to the customary code of social behavior, or rather a system of accepted rules, conventions, and norms governing polite behavior and interactions among society, which we know as manners. For example, how you greet someone, how you drink your soup, how you hold a glass of wine, all this is etiquette. How you set the table for a meal, and what cutlery you use for the particular dish or meat or fish you may be served. I would share with you one protocol is not static. And as the word has been developed over the years, so stages of protocol will change. The last change I noticed with Lions International's protocol was in June 2018. I would share with you and seek your advice, normally a situation that I sometimes experience, where normally I would get out of my car and open the car door for a lady to get in or out of the car. But with today's ladies being liberalized and taken over from men, I'm confused as to what to do when the lady appears hesitant to get out of my car. And she's waiting for me. Is she waiting for me to get out and open the door for her, or to give her a goodnight kiss? Your guess is as good as mine. Let us get back to the subject of protocol and ask why protocol? Protocol avoids confusion. It prevents conflicts, and it ensures control of the meeting. Some aspects of protocol can be considered precedence, which is the ranking of persons or something else. Seniority, the holding of a higher rank or position. Seating at the head table. Who should sit at the head table? Introductions of those present at the head table. Recognizing dignitaries not at the head table. Acknowledging before reporting, which we often do at our zone meetings when our clubs report, or at our district meetings. The arrangement, courtesies at meetings, the arrangement of national flags, and the playing of national anthems. In any organization, there must be a head person, normally called the president, the chairman or chief, and others termed directors or counselors with special expertise who run the organization. Depending on the size of the company will be the layers of responsibility within that company or the government of a country. How we recognize or rank these layers of responsibility or importance is called the order of precedence. So let us quickly look at the order of precedence with the Barbados government. First, Her Majesty the Queen of England, although we are an independent country, we still recognize the Queen as our head of state. Should we be a republic, Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, our head of state would be a president and not the Queen of England. Here we have a Governor General who is the local representative of the Queen. And then there is the Prime Minister and the Chief Justice. Then there are the others. You have the national heroes, the President of the Senate, members of the Cabinet who are quite high, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, the Leader of the Opposition, and then former Prime Ministers and former Chief Justices. And I've just gone through all these with you. Chairman of the Barbados Christian Council is number 12. And number 24, which is striking here, the Chief of Staff of the Barbados Defense Force and Commissioner of Police is 24th in the order of rank. And I notice here that it is above the Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, or even holders of knighthoods. This sounds a bit odd to me, but that is what it is. Let us now look at the order of precedence for Lions International. The international president is the most senior lion on the list and must be respected as such. The immediate past international president is the next most senior lion, and he or she is also the international LCIF chairperson. Then there are the international presidents, international directors, past international directors, and past LCIF trustees and board appointees, and then the global leadership team, membership team, services team, and LCF, all of Constitution area leaders. They're all very senior in the organization. I consider 1 to 8 in that seniority to be the Board of Governors, and 9 to 11 to be advisors or managers of various departments in the organization. Carrying on at number 12, according to Lions International, is the chairperson of the Council of Governors. In our multiple district, it is currently Lion Dennis Forrest, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. Then you're followed by the district governors, 60A, Lion Dennis Bentique, Melvin Jones Fellow. 60B, Lion Maureen Graham, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. Number 14, international administrative officers. Number 15 are the district coordinators. And I'm not quite sure if you know who the district coordinators are. I don't think we have the FWC, which is the Family and Women's Coordinator, but we have a GLT, GMT, GST, and LCIF representative. GLT being past District Governor Gerald Jackson, Melvin Jones Fellow. The GMT being the past Council Chair, Nadine Bushell, Melvin Jones Fellow. The GST being past Council Chair, Shirley Quintel Hendricks, Melvin Jones Fellow. The LCIF coordinator being the past Regional Chairman, Lion Ina Noseworthy Cohen, past Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. Now you notice I've been spelling these titles out, MJF, PMJF, etc. And I think we should change our style when we address any of these senior lions, in fact, all lions. If I go to a function And I told someone who told you that my name, I had after my name the title, can't remember my titles now, don't mind that. But ED, okay? You would know what ED means. Neither would the layman know what MJF means or PJMF. So I would suggest instead of just calling Lion Gerald Jackson MJF, we spell it out, Lion Gerald Jackson Melvin Jones Fellow. Otherwise, we don't know who these people are. Beyond them, then are the, let's see, I've made a note here. Is a council chair and the immediate past council chair and immediate past governor. Lion Rudolph Augustine, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow, and Lions Anwar Hollingsworth, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. Then we have our vice district governors. For District A, Lion Hoffman, Melvin Jones Fellow. For 60B, first vice district governor, Lion Claudio Boncampo, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. 60A again, second vice governor, Lion Shakibi Casabon, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. And for 60B, Lion Nicholas DaCosta, Melvin Jones Fellow. Then we have the multiple district committee chairpersons and the past council chairpersons, the past governors, the multiple district secretary treasurers, the district secretary treasurer, the district FWC family women's coordinators, the GLT, GMT, GST, and the other coordinators. The regional chairperson, the zone chairperson, the district committee chairpersons, and the club presidents, and it goes down and down, down. I've highlighted here who are the District 60B coordinators. We have the GLT for GLT, the Global Leadership Team, Lion Judy King, Melvin Jones Fellow, the membership, Global Membership Team, coordinator for the District 60B, Lion Leroy Hines, District Services Team, David Scarlett, Melvin Jones Fellow, and the LCIF representative, Lion Elaine McMaster, Melvin Jones Fellow. We in the District 60 have many of these coordinators, and I've just highlighted some of you, so some of them for you. You have the activities, entertainment, vision, hungry, new voices, poverty and youth, environment, Leo, new technology, sustainable empowerment, Dragon. I've highlighted these are coordinators because I want you to be aware of their seniority in the district. Okay. Let us look quickly now at the seating arrangements. If we go down to my next slide, seating arrangements. It is a distinct honor to be invited to sit at the head table. As a rule of thumb, it is my view that if you are not directly involved in the meeting, you do not necessarily have to sit at the head table. Depending on the type of meeting will depend who sits at the head table. And as a matter of respect and to show our appreciation for their service, senior lions may be invited to sit at the table. Looking at the head table for a zone meeting, we have already covered that for the club meeting. And I said here before that there has always been some jealousy, not only in Lionism, but internationally, as to where one sits at the meetings. You will find in board meetings, locally and internationally, there are no head table as such, and the chairman may sit anywhere around an oblong or rectangular table. once he can see the delegates. If not practiced at your board meeting, you may try and consider it. It tends to suggest that we are all relatively equal and one can express themselves freely. So we have the seating arrangement at the zone meeting. Basically, the zone chairman has a zone secretary and the host president sitting, because normally these zone meetings may be hosted by a particular club. So we give them that privilege to sit, the host president sit at the head table. So you have the zone chairperson, the zone secretary on that person, the chairperson's left, and the host president on the right. But you may also have a guest speaker. The guest speaker will sit on the zone chairman's right, the secretary on the zone chairman's left, and then you fit the others around. You have the regional chair, the next senior person, and a spot there for the host president. Nothing wrong with those two. You might have the governor. You might have your zone meeting in a country where the governor is present, and he or she might visit you. And you might also have a guest speaker. So you have the zone chairman in the center, the guest speaker on the zone chairman's right, the governor on the guest speaker's right. On the other side, we have the secretary treasurer immediately next to the zone chair, because she has to discuss things with her treasurer or he or her treasurer. And the regional chairman might be in your country also, as we have here in Barbados, and he will sit on the left of, of the secretary treasurer. Another way we can look at it, we have the zone chairman, the guest speaker, the district governor, regional chairman, and secretary. What we're trying to do is balance the seating on either side of the zone chair if you possibly can. But the three senior people we put here on the zone chairman's right. The zone chairman is the presiding officer and must be seated at the center. Excuse me, I seem to be losing my voice. It would be ideal too at a zone meeting if we could have all the presidents present sitting at the head table. But this is not always possible, and because the number of presidents we'll have to have extended. If you had to put some presidents here on this line here, it extend, it'd be too long. So what we do normally is to put the presidents in front of the head table, the chairs here in front of the head table, and you put not only the president, your club presidents and past senior officers should be seated in front of the zone chairman and the head table. Let's look at the district convention or algorithm. For a regional chair meeting, similar. The regional chair's team is really the zone chairman. And here you have them around the zone chairman, 1, 2, 3, and the regional secretary treasurer. Another way we could look at it is if we have the district governor comes, you put them on the right of the zone chairman. And again, you spread the zone chairs around the regional chairman. At the multiple district, the district governor is the presiding officer of the district convention, is sit at the center. And the guest speaker on the right, or the district secretary treasurer on the left. International directors present and past sit on the right of the guest speaker, with the first and second vice governors on the left of the district governor. The first row is shown without any past district governor, past international director, sorry, there. In the second row, we have the past international director there, the council chairman there, district governor of 60B or 60A, which one it is, district governor's secretary vice district governors on the same on the head table also. The multiple district meeting, the council chair, as we know, is the chairman of that meeting. The presiding officer is sitting in the center. Also sitting at the head table is the council chair, past international director, the council secretary, the immediate past, this is not the immediate past council chair, but this would be the council chair if she or he is present at that meeting, and the district governors on the left here of the council chair. Council chair, guest speaker, past international director, and the two governors A and B seated there. Again, we try to balance it, and you can't have everyone on the head table if they're not required. As I said before, you don't have to sit at the head table. But very senior Lions, the past international directors or international directors, we honor them by putting them at the head table. Having sat all our distinguished guests at the head table, how do we introduce the head table? I've given another slide here of the head table with the district governor, senior person. If we want to address the head table, as you know, we address the chairman, who is now of that table, whoever that is, zone chair, regional chair, district governor, or council chair. They're the one you address first. It is their meeting. They are in charge. You address them first, and you go from the lowest to the most senior. Lowest being the secretary of the district here, number 2. Then you go to the vice governors, 3, 4, and then you go to the council chair, past international director, and the international director, who is the most senior person at your table, or the guest speaker. This way, that person sits at that position here. Always begin with the presiding officer or person chairing the meeting, and then you continue from the person lowest rank to the person of the highest rank. When spouses are present, either at the head table or in the audience, they should be introduced with their husband or wife. Please do not use the words on the left or near right. Just call the person's title and the name, and they should stand or raise their hand to be recognized. So we don't want you to say on the governor's left, the district governor secretary, so first this vice district governor, on his left or on his right, international director on district governor's right. We don't want all that. Just call the name of the persons on the head table who you are introducing. District governor, so-and-so, district secretary, so-and-so, first vice district governor, so-and-so, second vice district governor, and the way up. Never you say on the left, on the right, and so forth. Keep in mind that at every meeting level, there's one important ranking officer who is responsible for that level. And that person is introduced first. All current officers hold rank over past officers. The important word is rank. The district governor is ranked higher than the past district governor. At club meetings, the club president is the important person. At zone meetings, the zone chairperson is the important person. At district meeting, the district governor is the important person. And at multiple district meetings, the council chairman is the important person. Now we have introduced them. I find at some of our meetings, after introducing the head table, the master of ceremonies usually goes on to recognize distinguished members on the floor. What I'm suggesting that we move away from that. You have just introduced your head table, the most senior people on the floor at your meeting. Let it rest there for a while. the International Directors Day. Don't get him there all the time. So after International Directors, if you have the fireworks or the drums, beat them, send the fireworks up. We have established the most senior people at that meeting. And then you stop. Get on with your agenda, and probably after the second item, you recognize the distinguished persons at the head table. So I suggest I'm suggesting that where there's a break, there should be a break between the introduction of persons at the head table and other distinguished persons or group of persons present on the floor. Recognition of distinguished persons and senior lines on the floor should commence with the most senior. Now, this is opposite as what you did when you were introducing the head table. Now you're not introducing this distinguished guest, you're recognizing these people in your audience. So you recognize from senior to junior. You recognize if they're past governors there, recognize them if they're other people senior to them, you recognize them first, and you go down council chairman, past governors, and you go down the line to probably all the presidents there, all the ones you want to recognize. Then I usually also recognize all Melvin Jones fellows and progressive Melvin Jones fellows. With dignitaries, when recognizing dignitaries, there will be many on the floor. So you need not call the names of every dignitary on the floor. What I suggest with dignitaries seated in the audience, recognize them en masse. You may ask all past council chairmen to stand and be recognized. All past district governors to stand and be recognized. All past zone chairmen to be recognized. Trying to have them listed before the meeting in rank order so that you do not forget or call the wrong names. And you do not, if you're going to start the most senior, you don't start from the bottom, the presidents, and come up. Or mix them up as you come up the line. Write the names down of senior people, not the particular names, the ranks, down on a piece of paper before and when you want to recognize them. Now we have introduced our head table. We've recognized the senior lines at the head table and the audience. Everybody is happy. Now we go to addressing them. Only the principal speaker or the first person reporting. Now don't get confused here. I'm thinking of reporting at zone meetings or regional meetings or district meetings when you have reports coming in. If there's no guest speaker who will name everyone, all the distinguished at the head table, you go to other speakers, acknowledge the chairman, and then other persons at the head table en masse. Only the principal speaker or the first person reporting is required to acknowledge all dignitaries. So we don't want everyone getting up acknowledging all dignitaries. And we don't want, and so after the first person has spoken, all speakers acknowledge the chairman, and then other persons at the table en masse use the phrase other distinguished members of the head table. Of course, if you have very, very senior people like the international president, the national first vice president, or national members of the national board, or your past international presidents or directors, you name them. They're senior visitors to your country, you name them, and then the others, governors and so on, you don't have to. You just say other distinguished members of the head table and in the audience, and that covers everybody. Please do not use the words protocol having been established. You as the individual, first person, has recognized everyone. If you want to, the second person, he has not said good morning for you. He has done his bit, and you, the second, third, and fourth person, will have to do your bit. You recognize the chairman before you speak. A couple of people, very senior people at the head table, other distinguished members of the head table and the audience, and that covers everything. We don't want a list of all the names of people at the head table or in the audience. The chairperson, I now go on to general protocol of Lions meetings, which is well covered already by Lion Isaac, but I will just repeat some. The chairperson is the presiding officer and should be awarded the same courtesies as given to other dignitaries. Always stand when addressing the chair or whoever is chairing the meeting. All is a matter of respect. You must be acknowledged by the chair before you speak. Go through the chair or person chairing the meeting if you need to address someone other than the person chairing the meeting. You can find all this in the Robert's Rules of Order. If you are late, do not interrupt the chair, but move quietly to a seat, or you'll be escorted to a seat. Do not carry on a conversation while someone is speaking. The chairperson should be appropriately dressed when attending a meeting. His or her attire or demeanor sets the tone for the meeting. You might go to a club meeting and the chairman turns up with dungarees, sandals, a t-shirt. Now, if he does that, you know the standard of that club will drop. You must be properly dressed or reasonably dressed for the occasion. All guests should be met, welcomed, and escorted to a seat. Official guests should be met by the president and escorted or have someone escort them to their seat. This then brings me on to flags. I've set out here the position of the flags. You have your head table here. On the right of the head table, usually you have your national flag, which is the flag of your nation. And then you have the Lions Club international flag, if you have one. But if you haven't got one, you have another guest, you might want to put the flag there. National flag should be placed on the right of the chairperson and other flags on the chairperson's left. Facing the head table, the national flag is placed on the left of the stage. It can also be placed in the center among other flags, but here its pole must be higher than those of other flags. So if you want to put all the other flags behind here on the head table, the national flag, which is your country flag, should be a little higher than the other flags. Then you would probably ask the question, how do we arrange these flags? Where do we put the USA flag? Where do we put the British flag? Where do we put the Trinidad flag? Where do we put the Jamaica flag? Where do we put the Anguilla flag? Well, not in recognition of our member country clubs, country flags, as at our conventions, the last country to join the district is recognized first. And then you come to the line the ending with the host country's flag. On parade, the host country's flag leads the parade. But normally, if you have many flags at the meeting, as we have at our convention, the junior flag is brought up and we have all the flags coming down in ascending order. National anthems, quickly. When dignitaries of a foreign countries are present, the national anthem of that country is usually played. The national anthem of a host country is usually played last. That concludes my presentation, and I'd like to thank you for listening so quietly, because I haven't heard anyone speak so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lion Owen. Are there any questions? You can use the raise hand and indicate whether you want to ask the question. Are there any questions for any of the two presenters?
Good evening, Lion Hazel, Christchurch West. Lion Isaac talked about adjourning the meeting and not terminating. I am happy because I always say, there's always some conflict about whether a meeting is adjourned or terminated. because you're going back to the meeting, as he said, so it's always adjourned and not terminated. Just confirmation on that.
Thank you, Elaine Hazel. I see past zone chair line Norma. And Norma McPhee, you had your hand raised?
Oh, no, sir. No, I didn't.
Okay, sorry. Any other questions?
Yeah, Lion Sherwin, when it comes to Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow or Melvin Jones Fellow, where is the correct placing? Is this the last title? Because I thought this is the highest and it should come at the last. So I just want clarity on that. Past Council Chair, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow or Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow first? Which is the correct one?
Thank you for that question.
Past Council Chair is first, is the title, and then the Melvin Jones Fellow afterwards.
So it's correct to say that the Melvin Jones Fellow should always be at the end?
It should be at the end.
It depends what you call the end.
Well, I mean, if I'm referring
introducing someone, I would say past council. Sorry, introducing someone. I would say past council chairman, line so and so, Melvin Jones Fellow. It's not past council chairman, so and so. Or it's not line so and so, past council chairman, Melvin Jones Fellow. That is wrong. You call him by the title first. He's past council chairman, the name Melvin Jones Fellow.
I mean that, yes, thank you, Lion. Or if I'm typing it, should I type Lion Owen Springer, past council chair, Melvin Jones Fellow, or Melvin Jones Fellow, past council chair? That's what I want clarified. Thank you.
That's what I just said. There's past council chair, Melvin Jones Fellow. I mean, past council chair, Owen Springer, Melvin Jones Fellow.
I can understand why Hazel is concerned about this, because, for instance, when you're doing your minutes, and you begin with the attendance, persons who have attended the minutes. Generally, what you do, you put line so and so, line so and so, line so and so, and whatever titles or accolades are attached to that person, you put it after the name. Now, I can understand that if you are addressing a past council chairman, you would say past council chairman, Lion Sherwin, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. Fine. But if you're writing down like a list, and you have the names of the individuals and you want to put their correct position there, because even in the registration for online, it identifies what is your name and then what are your titles and awards. So in that event, I would say that it's not going to provide you with an opportunity to say past council chairman so-and-so, Melvin Jones Fellow or Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. In that event,
I think we disagree a bit on that. If I was writing you, I would pass council chairman, line Isaac, so and so, Melvin Jones Fellow. I am a colonel in the army. I'm not called Owen Springer, Lieutenant Colonel so. I've given my rank first, and his rank was past council chair, his name, and then his titles after. You might do it differently in Jamaica, just as a lot of clubs do things differently, but that's not the way I would recommend that you do it.
Well, I agree.
All right, Lance, if I can add, and yeah, I understand the concern because it is one that pops up all the time. Is a title. So, Len Hazel, you can put, if you are addressing past council chair, and sometimes we have found that some lines would omit the line and just say past council chair Owen or past council chair Isaac, or some persons might use it is a title. If you're writing and you're saying, let's say past, you're saying line sharing Greenwich, you can put PCC in brackets. Similar to then if you are writing Hazel, if you're writing Hazel Francis, let's say, or use Hazel Selman, you might want to put MRS after in brackets to indicate that you are Mrs. or Miss. So I believe as a title, the title should precede the person's name, but if you're writing and you want to put it at the end, you can put it in brackets. But normally, I guess customer practice is that we would put PCC after.
I think that this is what she wants to find out as well. If you're, let's just put it this way. I understand Lion Owen's position because the Army has peculiar protocols. For instance, a retired Army officer carries that title with him for the rest of his life. So it is peculiar in that respect. But the point that I can understand Lion Hazel's position, because if you are going to put those two recognitions after the name, let us say that you, for whatever reason you decide to put them after, which one comes first? That's really her question. Should it be PCC first and Melvin Jones afterwards, or should it be Melvin Jones for the first and then PCC afterwards? In that event, I'm saying to her, she needs to put the PCC first, then the Progressive Melvin Jones for the last.
Thank you very much. That was the question, because I
yes.
see people, persons will put Melvin Jones Fellow, past region chairman, and I always think that the Melvin Jones Fellow or Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow should come at the end.
Yes.
I'm glad, Lion Isaac, that you cleared up the PMJF, because I really don't like to hear it. What does PMJF mean? Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. Thank you. And another one.
Did you know that there are 52 various positions for Melvin Jones fellowships?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay.
52 various. Yeah.
I'm not sure what the others are called. I think they're progressive and there's diamond and all that stuff. But
where does the treasurer sit at the audit?
at the head table?
Yes.
Well, the treasurer generally doesn't sit at the head table. The persons who sit at the head table would be, unless of course it is the
customary practice,
president's request to have the treasurer there. But at the head table, you will have, like, the president has to be there, and the secretary, which is the right hand of the president, has to be there. The other officers would be the vice presidents of the club. And later on, you can put the treasurer if you so desire, but it is not generally practiced that your treasurer sits at the head table.
Thank you. If you have a joint meeting, two clubs are meeting, what is the correct custom? Do you have two secretaries, two presidents, and everybody at the head table, or one person chair the meeting and then send the minutes to the other club? Could you clarify that for me, please?
That's an unusual arrangement for you to have two meetings going on simultaneously in the same room at the same time. But one has to, well, I would recommend that what you do is you identify somebody to chair that meeting. The other person can be regarded as a deputy. But
no, I mean, sorry, if you're having a joint meeting, like a club is visiting my club, and we're having a joint meeting, and they're coming to my club, my president will chair the meeting.
Yes.
Who takes the minutes?
Let's learn here, though, if I can clear it for you. Your club will be the host club, and therefore holds the responsibility for everything that goes on at the club. So you take the minutes.
Correct.
Out of courtesy, the president sits at the head table because it is a sitting president, but you will take the secretary will take the minutes. And if the visiting club requires a copy of those minutes, then that could be shared.
Correct.
Thank you, because there have been concerns about a club wanting to come to visit the club and want the secretary to sit at the head table, as well as the president will sit at the head table because it's a sitting president, but they want the secretary to sit at the head table and take their own minutes as well. So I just want to clarify that because I would think that you would only have one scribe for the meeting. Thank you. Let me brief here in case somebody else wants to ask questions.
Yes, Len, here's an if you could follow on from that as it relates to the treasurer. Some clubs, they have customary practice of having the treasurer sit at the head table. If that can be facilitated, the treasurer will be the last seat on either end. But if it cannot be facilitated, then the treasurer will sit in the audience. Let's say your table can accommodate 5 persons and the treasurer normally sits at the table. When you have a visiting president or the zone chair, then the treasurer will slide off the table because the table can only accommodate 5. Are there any other questions?
Yes, Lion Sherwin. Is there a number, accepted number of persons for the head table? Because sometimes it can be very long or very big. Is there accepted amount of people for the head table?
I'll leave that for Lion Owen to answer.
Lion Hazel, I thought I said that we cannot accommodate everybody at the head table. Only those who are really directly involved and will be saying something. If the head table is so big that the treasurer will sit in front. The other members of the visiting club will sit in front. But you only need the president of the visiting club to sit at your head table. It's your meeting. And your secretary will take the minutes. If they want to take the minutes, they can take the minutes to the secretary down below. But she's not entitled to sit at your head table.
I was talking, like Owen, about like for instance, you had a charter night. Is there accepted amount of people at the head table? Because sometimes
no, head table have 12, put them there. But our charter nights, we don't have so many at the head table. We try and accommodate the visiting governor, the visiting regional chair, and zone chair, if possible. If the space is too small to accommodate them, then they sit on the floor. It's your charter and your people. You have yourself, your guest speaker. Not even your secretary will be up there. It's your charter. You don't want everybody up at the head table.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Very, very interesting meeting. I thought that I would like to congratulate both speakers and Lion Sherwin for facilitating the meeting. I have learned there's always something to pick up at one of these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And before we move to the vote of thanks, and I believe I see Lane Judy is back, so I believe she will be doing the closing remarks. But just before I leave, I've been asked by Lane Myrtle Luby, who is the GLT coordinator for District 60A. She indicated she had to leave early, and she's asked that she wants to express her gratitude and appreciation to District 60B for allowing the members from District 60A to share in this experience. If there are no other questions, yes.
Before you close, I just want to say that protocol is not written in stone, and you could change things here and there slightly. Because my club does have a treasurer at the head table, you do not have to have your treasurer at the head table. Clubs recommend the treasurer sits on the floor, probably near the entrance, to collect all the subs that are coming in. But we don't do that in our club, and there's nothing wrong with the treasurer sitting at the head table. It's just a custom that we have adopted as our protocol, where we put people there.
Thank you.
I said there's always a jealousy about who should sit up there and who should sit there. So to avoid that, we give you guidelines as what should be done. But if it's your custom and you all are happy with that, a certain way, do what you're accustomed to do.
A clarity for Lion Isaac with the singing of the national anthem of visitors. This is for certain ranks or just any visitor who comes to your club. Their flag should be their, anthem, or just as for certain ranks of visiting Lions.
Remember what I said, that it is not a protocol requirement.
Yeah, I know.
It's courtesy, right?
Courtesy, yeah.
Yes, and usually that courtesy is extended to persons like your district governor or your council chairman. Usually.
Yes, Len Hazel.
Thank you.
Those courtesies will extend to your sitting head. As I said, it might be district governor or the council chair if they're visiting.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. I will now ask Len Richard Bramwell from the Lions Club of Mona to move the voter times. You need to unmute Len Richard.
Thank you, Lion Chairperson. Fellow Lions and Leos, it is with pleasure that I would like to thank the organizers of this session on Lions Protocol. Firstly, Lion Sherwin Greenwich, past Council Chair and Melvin Jones Fellow, and secondly, Lion Judy King, Global Leadership Team Coordinator for Regions 1 and 4. We as Lions and Lion leaders oftentimes fall short of the desired requirements for the proper execution of protocol and its usage at our functions. Even if we know them, we at times fail in their application when it is most required. Lines Isaac and Owen, your delivery of the required protocols in Lionism was most eloquent and offered much reminders towards understanding why we do, what we do, when we do, and where to do, as we seek to be proficient in our delivery of quality Lions functions, even more so amidst the new online norms. My gratitude to all participants whom fielded their pertinent questions to our guest speakers. Your questions further enriched the content of their delivery, and most of all, you found the time to be present at this afternoon's function when you truly could have been elsewhere. On behalf of the participants of regions 1 and 4 and other lands who might be participating, we would like to say thanks and again for an enlightening afternoon. I thank you.
Thank you, Len Richard.
You're welcome.
Good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while.
That is so.
Yes, we now have the closing remarks from Len Angle, past region chair, Melvin Jones Fellow, and my associate on the GLT team.
Thank you, Lion Chewin. Fellow Lions and Leos, we have witnessed outstanding presentations by the Protocol Commission, Lions Isaac McCalla, PMJF, Lion Owen Springer, MJF, senior Lions, both past council chairs with a wealth of knowledge and first-hand experience through working according to Lions established protocol, a system of accepted rules governing formal occasions to avoid embarrassment or unpleasant situations, as it was put to us. Given the high number of participants throughout the presentations, the dynamic question and answer segment, and comments in the chat, it is obvious that you found it interesting, very informative, even enlightening, excellent and detailed, and that it was a great refresher. Remembering that this protocol remembering what is protocol in the various instances that pertain to us can prove to be quite confusing. We get flustered, we don't want to make any blunders, we want to avoid embarrassment, or we want to avoid embarrassing our dignitaries as well as avoid embarrassing ourselves or clubs because of it. But even apart from official visits, sitting arrangements, and recognizing those esteemed members within our midst, we have been reminded that our meeting protocol too is also very important, as it ensures meeting time is used efficiently, purposefully, and productively. Additionally, most appropriately included in this presentation was an etiquette for our online meetings, which are so important at this time. I feel that we have succeeded in keeping the focus of this webinar, which is, first of all, responding to requests for such a presentation, eliminating confusion regarding the proper recognition of Lion dignitaries, providing a simple but definitive response to the question, who comes first, as well as underscoring the crucial role of protocol for successful meetings. It is now for us to go forth and implement what we have learned, the tips, the advice presented. So at this closing instance, on behalf of a global leadership team chairperson, Lion Judy King, co-coordinator, Region 3, past council chair, Lion Sherwin Greenwich, MJF, PMJF, and myself, Lion Diana Angol, co-coordinator for Region 2, I would like to congratulate everyone for taking advantage of the opportunity to participate in this webinar, and especially finding the time to do so. I wish all of our participants a pleasant evening.
Thank you, Elaine Diana. And I can see that my boss has made an appearance. I believe she was able to shift from one location to another, being a victim of the power outage in her area. So let's welcome Elaine Judy, and I know that she will give the parting words. Elaine Judy.
Thank you very much, Lion Sherwin. I just came on so people would see that I'm in the space and understand that I was not disconnected for non-payment of my utility bills. I want you to know that we had a problem with our, what you call that thing now? The thing that blows sometimes?
The transformer.
Transformer, that is it. And so I was kicked off. You see, this is good when you have a strong team, because my team members stepped right in and carried through. And I want to thank you all, not just my team members for doing what I knew they could do, but also for all of you who participated. I want to remind you too that you should mark in your diary May 25 to 30 for incoming officer school. Thanks again for participating. We love your support. And you all, please stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine Judy. Stay safe, practice your social distancing, sanitize. We look forward to seeing you not in this space, but hopefully sometime next year, where we can greet one another with that in Brazil. Enjoy your evening, enjoy your weekend, stay safe.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
Lion Isaac, thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Lions. Be safe.
Bye. Thanks for
Bye, Peter Gay.
Seminar.
Richard, I just saw you. You're gone.
Hi. Hi, Sean. Hi, Judy.
Bye-bye.
Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. Nice to see all of you all.
Hey, Sonia, how are you doing?
It has been a long time. Wendy, please let everybody see.
Yes, it has.
Yes, Lane, Sonia, pass on my love to you know who.
Hi, Peaches.
Like Peaches behave. Don't say anything.
Hi, Lionel.
How are you?
Good to see you. I am good.
Good.
Oh, be safe. We'll be together again soon, sometime.
Oh, I hope so.
Yes.
The skies are going to be very busy when this thing eases up.
Yes. I see Landy in the back hiding
sure.
somewhere.
Which one of the Wendy's you're talking about, Lion Sherwin?
The one that's making an appearance near to you now.
Oh, behind you, right there. Okay.
Yes, yes.
It's good to see you all. Really looking forward, as
Okay.
as Lane Judy would
Bye.
tell us
Take
every
care.
time in a monthly meeting, she's looking forward to hug me, and I'm looking forward to receiving that hug. So see you all.
The things that are said in our monthly meeting must stay in the monthly meeting, Lion Sherwin. You
Sorry,
didn't.
I just wanted to get some
Oh.
persons jealous.
So suppose I tell them what you showed me in the monthly meeting.
What?
Don't do it, Judy.
Yeah, we're having some serious meetings.
See, I'm going. I'm leaving you all. I'm going now.
I guess they're not virtual.
One should know when to take his exit, so I'm taking my
Yes.
exit. Bye. See you all. Bye.
Leave it.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye for now. Good evening.
Oh, it's not coming up, you see, because I get that out and then I say